To whomever may have stumbled across this video, I hope you're having a fantastic time. I wanted to talk about change, considering change affects everybody who lives, really. You know, everything changes. Whether what I talk about helps people or if people just find it interesting, I just wanted to have a discussion. So, in terms of change, nothing stays the same forever, right? Everything has to change eventually. And this very concept people often struggle with, right? You know, change goes from life to death. Uh, and as I said, nothing stays the same, and people often dislike change. You can see that through sort of governments, how people want things to stay the same. They don't want policy changes. And on the most simple of terms, of individual levels, people, you know, just don't want to change in general. The best example of this for me is, you know, going through school, right? Uh, Going from junior school to high school to out of school. See, I am 20 years old right now, and I'm currently in university. I still remember when I was going from year 6 to 7, which was from junior school to senior school, and I felt like I had changed so much at the time, but I felt like I was so young at the same time because high school goes from year 7 to 12, and I felt very young in year 7. I mean, I was, but I remember thinking, there's no way I'd ever get to year 12. That's so long away. And here I am 2 years after year 12 now. And it's just kind of weird to think about how you can't really comprehend change until it's happened, right? You can think about what could change, but you never know how something will change until it changes. And that's what I believe people struggle with the most. Once change happens, they think about the past, right? You think about what it was like before things changed, and you want it to be like that again. An example of this, right? I have a close family member who I love dearly, who uh, maybe 5, 6 years ago was diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar, and ever since then she's been in and out of hospitals, and she's had a very difficult life. And in particular, for other members of my family, they found it extremely difficult because they remember what it was like when she was younger, when she wasn't as affected by this mental illness or these mental illnesses, uh, and they often reminisce on what it was like before the change took place, and they find it difficult. And that's the thing about change. No matter how something changes, whether it's a good change or a bad change, you have to embrace it. You have to embrace the change that takes place. Because if you don't embrace the change and you get caught up in what could have been or what should have been, you're never going to feel good about it. So, you know, even if it's a bad change, you may not want to embrace that change, but you need to feel good about it, because at the end of the day, once something has changed, you can't change it. You can't change. Uh, so if you acknowledge that the changes took place and you just go with it, then you, at the end of the day, you will feel better. Uh, and in terms of good change, it's important to understand how you've changed over time. Um, Me, for example, a bit over 2 years ago, or over the last couple of years, I have changed significantly. Uh, in year 12, I weighed roughly 130 kilos at the time. I now weigh roughly 80. Back in year 12, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. at the moment, I am in university studying a Bachelor of Policing, and I'm hoping to join the New South Wales Police in the next 12 months. And over the last couple of years, my relationship with my younger brother has grown significantly, and we're much closer now. And these instances of change are so important because, the fact that things change, to put it differently, you need to embrace these changes or understand what has changed you as a person. See, as I said earlier, nothing stays the same forever. And if you embrace the fact that you can change and you try to change yourself positively, so for example, over the last couple of years, I've found myself embrace these changes because I didn't want to stay the same. I understand the fact that to become a better person, you need to change. You're never going to be perfect. So if you try to build upon yourself and change yourself in a positive way, you can only go uphill, right? If you try to find small changes bit by bit by bit, you'll slowly build yourself up as a person. Uh, it could be small things like, say, when you're out in public, being courteous, leaving the door open for people, doing these small changes, changing yourself in small ways, it can really make yourself feel a lot better. Now, I was talking about myself. I've changed significantly over the last couple of years, but it hasn't all come at once, particularly with the weight loss of roughly 50 kilos. That didn't happen overnight. It happened in a process, a very sort of grueling, not grueling. To be able to change, you have to change your mindset. For example, for roughly a year before I started actually losing weight, I was trying to, but I struggled. I couldn't find how, and I kept on questioning, will I ever lose weight really? But you've really just got to change your mindset and don't try and do it all at once. You got to do it bit by bit. You got to find what works for you and stick at it. See, I tried to do the gym at first, but that didn't work for me. Then I found out if I were to just walk, but not walk with purpose, sort of walk and plan it up as I would go along, that was fun for me. And it was important to find what I enjoyed. That was important. So, in that sense, finding that change was good for me. So, again, in terms of change affects everyone. Whether it affects your life in a good way or a bad way, change is going to happen. Between now and a year from now, I'm sure I will change a lot. And it doesn't matter if I know or not how I will change. Because at the end of the day, you can't exactly predict how you will change. You can try and strive towards a certain change. But again, in a year from now, I don't know how I will have changed or what will have changed. And there's certain changes you can't predict. Say, the passing of a family member. You can never predict those changes. Everyone's lost, or everyone will lose a family member eventually. And the only thing you can really do is once changes, whatever change happens, again, you just need to embrace the change and understand the fact that the change has happened, right? Because if you try to pull yourself back in the past and think what could have been, I mean, that's no help to yourself or anybody else. So yeah, in terms of change is good. Even bad change has good results because it shapes you as a person. And bad change can shape you in a positive way if you let it, right? because as I said earlier, change is inevitable, and you can use change to shape yourself as a person. Yeah, basically, I just want to have this discussion about change because change is important, and I mean, as I said, change is inevitable. So really, embrace the changes that take place in your life and do what works for you, right? If a change is going to take place, let me rephrase that. Certain changes you may not like, and you can do your best to not let those changes affect you. I mean, I'm just rambling this, but I don't really know what I'm talking about. But I hope this discussion on change has helped or has helped you or you found it interesting. Maybe I'll do another discussion another time. Who knows? But I hope all of you have a lovely time. I'll talk later.